It's time to get ruthless. We are ranking all of Epcot's restaurants from worst to best, so you know which places you need to prioritize during your next visit. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Okay, this one has been very, very hard. Yeah, you gotta love every restaurant in Epcot, right? Like, there's a lot of really, really great ones, so it's been really difficult to figure out where to slot all of these, and I'm sure that some of you will probably be very upset, and some of you will be very excited that your favorite restaurants are being vindicated. But anyway, here we go. This is all based on how we feel about these restaurants currently, like in the past year when we've gone to these restaurants, right? And it's really hard. Each place has strong suits and downfalls. So we're going to talk about all of it. And please argue with me in the comments. I am happy to entertain that. All right. Today we're going to be starting with our least favorites and working our way up to the top. And while Epcot has plenty of different snack locations and kiosks that you're going to want to check out too, we're only going to focus on the places that'll give you a full and filling meal during your day. So no snack kiosks, no little snack locations. That being said, if you do want to learn about our favorite snacks for 2024 across all of the Disney World parks, go ahead and scan that QR code you're going to see on the screen or head to disneyfoodblog.com/bestsnacks. We've got a free guide of 40 different snack recommendations. That's right, I can't help myself. I love so many of them. So sorry about that. And there's full color DFB maps as well that are going to help you track down every one of them. These are brand new. We are so excited about having these, and you can have them for free. Go ahead and scan that QR code or go to disneyfoodblog.com/bestsnacks. I think they're going to be super, super helpful. Okay, are you ready to get angry with me? Great, let's do it. I'm going to start with Lotus Blossom Cafe. I'm really sorry, Lotus Blossom Cafe, but you're at the bottom of the list. And I'm guessing that not too many of you are upset about this, but we'll see. Anyway, the Lotus Blossom Cafe, that's in the China Pavilion, serves your standard Chinese takeout options like fried rice, sweet and sour chicken, and that's fine if standard Chinese takeout is what you're craving, but don't expect to be wowed by this, especially if you have really good Chinese takeout in your hometown. Still, it's a good spot for affordable and filling eats. It's in a beautiful pavilion. It's not ever very crowded, so you can pretty much always get, head right up and not have to wait in too long a line. So that's good, I guess. Pros on this one, good for picky eaters who miss their Chinese takeout spot back home, and it's affordable and fast. Cons for this one, real basic, nothing super exciting here. Pretty limited seating options. You're all outdoors, although you are covered, so it can get real cold in the winter if you're going to sit out here. But it's never too busy, so you'll probably be okay. So ranking on this one, 5 out of 10. That's right, it gets 5. Okay, did someone order a hot take? Because I've got one for you. Now, I promise I tried to put this particular restaurant in a lot of other places, and I had to keep pushing it back down, but for good reason. We are going to Teppanetto. This is over there in the Japan Pavilion. So what is our beef with it? Get it? Like beef like you would get at the... Okay. All right, cool. Not a lot. We don't have a huge problem with this restaurant. You're not going to completely derail your trip because you decide to book a reservation here. But like I said for Lotus Blossom, this is not a truly unique experience. When you come to Teppanetto, you don't feel like you're in the Disney bubble. You feel like you're back home, maybe getting together with your work friends on a Friday night to go to Benihana and discuss the quarterly numbers and complain about how much time Becky from accounting is hanging out at the water cooler. So, in short, that's a lot of time to invest in a dining experience that basically feels like you're at home. That being said, hibachi is hibachi. So if you know your family can all agree on a meal like this, it's still delicious. It's one of my best steaks. It's one of my favorite steaks in Epcot. It still accommodates big groups, and it's still impressive to see the little volcano onion spit out fire. That's amazing. If you need a shrimp in your pocket, you will get a shrimp in your pocket here at Teppanetto. Pros: a meal and a show. Yay. Could keep your kids entertained. Well cooked and fresh. This is very, very good food. They do an excellent job here. And it should cater to both adventurous and picky eaters alike. Cons: Nothing new, but still very pricey. And it's not great for guests who don't want to sit next to strangers during their meal. Hi, it's me. I'm an introvert and I probably don't want to talk to you, not because I don't like you, but because I'm scared of you. Okay, also takes a chunk out of your park day to experience this because it's a relatively long meal. Ranking 6 out of 10. Moving on to La Crepery de Paris. Now, I am surprised this is here, but I have eaten here twice in the past year and it just hasn't been incredible. It's not a place that I really... Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, this is one of Epcot's newer table service restaurants in the France Pavilion. It's going to serve up a mixture of savory galettes and sweet crepes. By the way, a galette, I was told, is made with buckwheat flour and crepes are not, and that's why galettes are galettes and crepes are crepes. Now, there's a lot of good things to say about La Crepery, despite it ranking so low. It usually has last-minute reservations available. It's one of the more affordable table services of the park, and you've got the option to dine a la carte or prefix, depending on how hungry you are. But the theming is super, super dull. It's a very boring restaurant on the inside. It's sleek, I guess. It's kind of like minimal would be the word. But the France Pavilion is stunning, and there was a lot of opportunity here to like just do really cool stuff. So when you step into La Crepery and all that theming is muted, it's kind of disappointing. Not to mention the France Pavilion has lots of other goodies to enjoy that are better than what you're going to find here, some of which are going to appear later on in this list, so hang tight. Also, again, like I said, my recent visits here have just not been exciting or wow-worthy. I went here with my mom just a couple of months ago, and, she loves a crepe, and we were both just kind of like, So if you're going to spend one of your only table service dining experiences in Epcot, which has incredible food, this probably isn't, obviously, because of where it is on the list, isn't the one that I would highly recommend. Go outside to the Crepery's fast food location or quick service location to get those snacks instead. Okay, pros on the Crepery. It's really great for a last minute table service location. So if y'all need to sit down, get into some air conditioning, and you're just exhausted, then this will probably have reservations. And there's a variety of unique galettes and crepes. They're pretty good. They're just not as good as other things in other restaurants. And it's also one of the cheapest prefix options out there. Cons for this one: theming does not live up to the usual Disney standard. If you don't like crepes and galettes, your options are very limited, as in like nothing. And also, it's not the best for those who don't enjoy buckwheat, since that's what the savory courses are made of. Ranking 6 out of 10. Next up is Coral Reef Restaurant. I wish that Coral Reef wasn't in our bottom 5. I really wish it wasn't, but here she is. Coral Reef is located in the World Nature section of the park. That's over in Future World for those of you who are, still in the olden days like me. It's tucked behind the seas with Nemo and Friends Dark Ride. Now, if I were just ranking this restaurant on atmosphere, it would be a whole lot higher because the dining room is completely surrounded by a massive aquarium. You are literally eating inside a giant aquarium, and that's awesome. You're going to see thousands of fish at all times. But this restaurant is a flip of a coin. Am I going to enjoy it this time? Is the food going to let me down again? Is the chance of a meal being good worth the price here? And are the fish that are swimming around me judging me for my shrimp cocktail right now? Lots of questions. Too many questions to make this worth it. If you have kids that get kind of antsy during sit-down meals, though, and you're looking for an Epcot restaurant that's going to keep them super entertained, then Coral Reef could be a good fit for you and your fam. That's really the only time we highly recommend this restaurant is if you've got little kids, they super love fish, like live ones, not dead ones, and they want to go see the sharks and stuff because they can just watch them through the whole meal, and that's really fun. But if you're looking for amazing seafood, you're better off hitting up other spots, especially over in Disney Springs. There are lots of options. Pros: immersive, very fishy atmosphere, good for families with a party of wiggle worms, and it has the potential to serve really awesome seafood and may do the same again, possibly. You just never know what you're going to get. Cons: it's very pricey. There's completely inconsistent quality, and it takes a chunk of time out of your day because it's a table service restaurant and it's going to take a while. And don't forget, you could just go to Seabase to watch the same fish for no money. Ranking 6 out of 10. Heading over next to La Cantina de San Angel. Now, the Mexico Pavilion has no shortage of food, but not every option here is the best option ever. It's actually pretty varied. The quick service location, La Cantina de San Angel, neighbors the table service location, La Hacienda de San Angel, which we'll be coming back to later on in this video. While Cantina might borrow a few menu items from its table service neighbor, like the empanadas and the churros and the tacos, it can get real packed here around lunch and dinner. And since there's no mobile order option for this location, that wait becomes really tedious. Pros here, it's hard to mess up tacos and beautiful lagoon views and a good alternative if you can't get a reservation for the two Mexico Pavilion table service locations. Cons, the seating does get packed around lunch, dinner, especially fireworks because this has a great fireworks view. No mobile order is available. It's all outdoor seating. Some of it is covered, but you are open to the elements, and there are better quality on-the-go options to choose from in Epcot. Ranking for this one, 6.5 out of 10. Heading over to the Italy Pavilion, we're going to go to Tutto Italia Ristorante. This has a rich history with Epcot and is known for serving very hearty Italian food, read heavy stuff, in an upscale, also heavy atmosphere. So what's this rich history that I speak of? Well, Tutto Italia opened with Epcot in 1982, and at the time it was called La Original Alfredo di Roma Ristorante, affectionately nicknamed Alfredo's. So yep, this restaurant was indeed named after Fettuccine Alfredo, and that's because this exact restaurant was owned and operated by the creator of the famous pasta dish. Well, at least they say they created it. If you've been to Alfredo's in New York City, it is the same company. Even after the ownership and restaurant name changed back in 2007, the restaurant continues to serve authentic Italian pastas and baked breads and seafood dishes and gelatos and cannolis. Basically, this is your fancy Italian restaurant in Epcot. While this can be a great date night setting for you, the price tag for many of these items are steep for what's being served. I mean, yeah, this is supposed to be authentic Italian food here, but you don't really need to pay $42 for the charcuterie board when there are so many other places in the Disney bubble that have really good charcuterie for less. I mean, even Hollywood Studios' signature restaurant, Hollywood Brown Derby, has a charcuterie for $21. Again, your meal should be tasty, and the low lighting makes for a more intimate, romantic setting. Although this is good Italian food, it's not superlative Italian food. Whether you're spending double for it at Tutto Italia or way less for it somewhere else, it's not going to blow your mind. Pros here, good for all you lovebirds out there. Again, it's a good date night restaurant if you want something semi-fancy. And there are authentic Italian offerings, and it's pretty classy. Cons, very pricey, not the best for kids who may get bored with the non-Mickey atmosphere, and it's often overshadowed by a way better Italy Pavilion restaurant, which we will talk about later on. Ranking 6.5 out of 10 as well. Now, I bet y'all thought that Nine Dragons was going to come up way earlier in this video, but in my heart, Nine Dragons doesn't get the credit it deserves. Nine Dragons could actually be higher up on this list for me personally, but we're going to put it a little bit lower than I would probably place it, just because I think most of the reason why I want it higher is just like personal nostalgia. Anyway, I'm trying to be as honest as possible, and I know there are so many restaurants in Epcot that just do things better than Nine Dragons. Nine Dragons in China has higher quality options than what you're going to find at Lotus Blossom next door, as it should, since you're going to be paying way more for the food here. But as far as being a bar-setting dining experience, yeah, don't get your hopes up too terribly high. I will say that on more than one occasion, there'll be times that I go to Epcot and I really do just want to book a last-minute meal at Nine Dragons. It's a chill atmosphere. It's beautiful in there. The servers are great. And the salt and pepper shrimp with spinach noodles is one of my favorites, especially those spinach noodles. They do them really, really well. And if you're not looking for a whole lot of frills and you don't need a prefix dining extravaganza to make you happy, Nine Dragons will suit your needs just fine. But if you're looking for the reason that Epcot's considered to be a foodie park by many, Nine Dragons is not that reason. It's good Americanized Chinese food, but you probably have good Americanized Chinese food in your hometown as well. Pros for this one, great for last-minute dining reservations if you want a sit-down meal. Lovely dining room with even better servers, and it's best for those looking for actually spicy food. There are a couple of items here that could, maybe trick your taste buds a little bit. Cons for this one, the food is fine, but it's not fantastic, and it's not going to blow your mind, same as like Tutto Italia. It's not the best for plant-based eaters, since a lot of these meals are meat-centric, and it's got extremely limited desserts and mixed drinks. Ranking here, 6.5 out of 10. Next up, Crepes à Emporter. Well, Crepery de Paris might be in our bottom 5. I'm going to give more credit to its attached counter service window, Crepes à Emporter. While it does have a much more limited variety of crepes and galettes than the main restaurant has, there are some options featured here that you can't order at La Crepery, and we actually enjoy them more, like the cream of brie cheese galette and the red berries crepe. You can also order a variety of on-the-go hard ciders, which complement the galettes and crepes quite nicely. Some folks may prefer La Crepery just for its air conditioning alone and, of course, seating, which Crepes à Emporter does not have. But when you're eating a crepe out in the open, surrounded by the epic France pavilion architecture instead of staying cooped up in a drab dining room, your crepe eating experience may feel a lot more whimsical and cultural. Just saying. Pros on this one, a speedy meal before jumping in line for Remy's Ratatouille adventure, a more unique option than your typical theme park fast food, and it's very affordable. Cons, super limited menu. Some may consider this to be more of a snack than a meal. And there's no AC and no real seating, which can make enjoying your crepe to its fullest more difficult when sweat keeps streaming down your face. It's not fun. Ranking 6.5 out of 10. We're headed from France to Japan, and we're going to Katsura Grill next. Now, I feel like each time I go to Katsura Grill in the Japan Pavilion, I enjoy it more and more. Sure, the options are pretty basic. Chicken teriyaki, different sushi combos, some ramen, but it's not a bad kind of basic. This restaurant's just not reinventing the wheel, and you don't always need to in order for people to like you. No, what makes this quick service truly stand out for us is not the food, but the outdoor seating. Now, I know a lot of you absolutely love that kind of hidden secret garden seating for Katsura Grill. Whenever I talk about Katsura Grill food not being the absolute best, people always chime in to remind me that the seating outside is the absolute best, which they are correct. It is. It features like a garden, there's a red footbridge, koi ponds, it's super zen, overhead lanterns. So that's the real hidden secret of Katsura Grill. The food is fine, the indoor seating is fine, but I do very much enjoy that little secret garden in Epcot where you can kind of escape everything. Pros, best for outdoor dining and straightforward yet tasty options. Cons, not great for more adventurous eaters and not a whole lot of indoor seating, making it a not so great rainy day option. But still gonna give this one a 7 out of 10. Next on our list is a double feature. This is Connections Cafe and Eatery. So Connections Cafe and Eatery is two different sides you can order from. The cafe serves Starbucks beverages and pastries and stuff like that. And the Connections Eatery serves, well, it's supposed to serve dishes inspired by global flavors. And it used to do that really well. But lately, most of the options have been pretty theme park predictable. Items like burgers and pizzas and salads with the occasional unique option thrown in there to add a touch of variety. While it's not my favorite place to grab a bite and eat lately, there's lots of seating here, so you don't have to worry about not finding a place to sit, even when the park is really busy. There are even charging ports at certain tables too. That way your phone can refuel while you do. This is also one of the only quick service locations in the park where you're going to please everybody. While the menu items are pretty basic, this is where I always go back to over and over again when I'm with my son, especially when he was little, because I knew I could get chicken fingers, I knew I could get pizza. Stuff like that is a no-brainer when you've got a little kid who's a very picky eater. So this was always our go-to for the past couple of years, like since this place opened, because it's very central in the park and it's very easy to get to from everywhere. That's what central means. And I could find stuff he would eat, which isn't true of all the counter service places in Epcot. So even if you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to just go eat regular theme park food, sometimes, y'all, that is what is necessary when you're trying to please a bunch of people. So that's why this one gets points in my book. Pros on this one, several approachable meals and snacks, plenty of indoor seating and charging tables, and don't worry, Starbucks fans, Epcot's gotcha. Cons, the World Showcase is right there, so I promise you're going to find more interesting food elsewhere, but again, this is going to save your rear end when you've got a really hungry little kid. Lots of seating and lots of voices. That means it can get pretty loud in here at times, and the menu isn't as adventurous as it used to be. Ranking 7 out of 10. Next up is Spice Road Table. So this is over in the Morocco Pavilion. It's one of those love it or hate it kind of restaurants. You'll love it if you're looking for something unique with Mediterranean tapas that you can share among the whole table, but you're going to hate it, hate being a strong word, I know, if you're looking for a restaurant with heartier, full-sized entrees that are less adventurous than what's available on the Spice Road menu. This is a very authentic menu to Moroccan flavors. Spice Road's got a lot of interesting small plates like hummus with imported olives, mixed grilled skewers, and lamb sliders. There's even a Spice Road Table sampler for $15. That's super cheap. That includes lamb kefta, tzatziki, spiced chicken, and tiropitacchio, which is a cheese-filled phyllo with cucumber tomato relish. One final Spice Road note, this table service is one of 2 locations that offers luminous fireworks dining. So if that's something you're interested in, you can make an advanced dining reservation for that fireworks package on the Disney World website or My Disney Experience app 60 days before your trip. Pros on this one: unique Mediterranean cuisine. Select tables have picturesque waterfront views. It's usually pretty easy to make a last-minute reservation for this one unless you're planning on booking the fireworks package. And it's an absolutely beautiful restaurant on the inside. Cons, not the best for picky eaters. There is a lot more seating outside, so you may be stuck outside if you'd rather sit inside. And drinks and tapas can add up quickly, so you may be spending a lot more than you expected here. And there's small plates only, no full-sized entrees here. Ranking 7 out of 10. Moving on to San Angel Inn Restaurante. Yep, we're back in Mexico, and much like Coral Reef, if I were ranking San Angel on atmosphere alone, then it'd be up in the top 5. The table service is located inside the Mesoamerican pyramid at the Mexico Pavilion, and she is beautiful. Dim mood lighting, beautiful setting, a great view of the Grand Fiesta Tour boat ride. Seriously, I could sit in this dining room for hours and just zen out and love it. But again, we're dealing with a very pricey restaurant here where the food can be unpredictable. Inconsistent is a better word. I've had some incredible dining experiences at San Angel in the past and have thoroughly enjoyed items like the tostadas de pollos and the pollo a las rajas. That's the one I get all the time. But not every food experience here is a great one. And when it comes to gambling with your dining money, you may not want to take that risk. So pros, so beautiful. And apparently I like the chicken here. And no, seriously, the views are gorgeous. Cons, the food doesn't always live up to your expectations on this one. It's expensive for what you get. The tables are kind of close together, so you may feel like you're unfortunately having lunch with like Jim and Nancy from South Dakota right next to you. It doesn't feel as though you have enough space sometimes there, especially if you're at a 2-top. And you're more likely to have similar Mexican-inspired options at your Mexican restaurants back home. Ranking 7 out of 10. Now, this is an interesting one. We have got Space 220 next. This is really low on the list for Space 220, I think, when you think about how difficult it is to get a reservation here and how many people want to eat here and how many people really like it. And I understand that, but we're not going to budge on this decision yet, and I'm going to explain why. Space 220 is a highly themed restaurant located in World Discovery right next to Mission Space. It takes you up into a galaxy far, far away. Not really. It's in our same galaxy. It's just 220 miles above EPCOT, so you can dine in the Centauri space station. This restaurant is probably the most immersive dining you're going to eat at in all of Disney World. Those giant digital windows surrounding the dining room allow you to look out at Earth and the astronauts passing by to make you feel like you really are dining among the stars. The menus here include prix-fixed pricing for both lunch and dinner, which can be good if you'd already planned on eating multiple courses or if you've got the dining plan. But if you're someone who usually only orders just a main entree or a couple of apps to share with the table, then Space 220 kind of puts you in a bind and makes you pay for multiple options for every single person, and pay a lot, by the way, whether you want them all or not. You can always make a reservation for the Space 220 lounge, so you can order off an a la carte menu instead and avoid spending that $55 per person price tag for the prefix menu. But keep in mind that the lounge menu is going to be much more limited, featuring just a small selection of flight bites. Reservations for the lounge are also even more difficult to secure than the restaurant itself, so you're going to want to play on the offense with this one and make sure you log on to the My Disney Experience app or the Disney World website and book your advanced dining reservations just as soon as you can, 60 days before your trip. With all that being said, if you do manage to book reservations for the lounge, you'll still be able to experience the Centauri space station setting. You'll be able to fly in the Stellavator up to the space station and walk in and explore. The lounge is right there in the restaurant, so you're going to see everything that you would see if you were in the restaurant and have the same experience. You're just going to pay less and have a more limited menu. So for me, the lounge is the way to go. Pros on Space 220: out of this world views, fun space-themed cocktails, and the lounge option available for a cheaper dining experience. Cons for this one: very, very hard to get reservations. The prefix menu, the May dining room, forces you to pay for more than you might want to eat. And the food isn't really all that great. I've had multiple meals here. Nothing's been mind-blowing. Nothing's really been worth the price tag that I paid for it. So if you're going to eat here, definitely know that you're paying for the atmosphere. You're not paying for the food. Don't expect a wonderful meal. Ranking 7 out of 10. Moving on to La Hacienda de San Angel. We are kind of right in the middle here of our list, just smack dab in the center. La Hacienda de San Angel may not have the indoor pyramid view like San Angel Inn has, but there's no denying it's got some beautiful lagoon views. La Hacienda is another sit-down meal inside the Mexico Pavilion, but if I've got to take my chances on a table service here, I'm more than likely going to opt for La Hacienda over San Angel Inn, just because the food quality is consistently better over here. I'm not saying the food here knocks it out of the ballpark all the time, but more often than not, it keeps a solid track record of delicious Mexican-inspired eats, very authentic stuff, like the meaty, cheesy El Hombre de Reyes skillet and the Pollo al Pastor. Bonus, if you book a table at La Hacienda in the evening, right before Luminous, you have a chance to watch the show here while you happily munch away on your tacos and churros. Just make sure to ask the host up front about those window seats, those fireworks view seats. Also, just say fireworks view, don't say window view, because some of the windows don't have a great view of the fireworks. So ask for a fireworks view seat. Now, they can't guarantee it, but it's always good to ask when you arrive, and then maybe you'll get one. Pros for La Hacienda: beautiful views of World Showcase Lagoon. The La Hacienda food is probably better than the San Angel food, and great date night setting. Cons: while the food is tasty, it might not be the most adventurous World Showcase option that you're after. It's also very, very expensive, and the fireworks window views are not guaranteed. Every now and then, the entrees here can be disappointing, but more often than not, we tend to enjoy most of what we order. Ranking 7.5 out of 10. Next up is Tudo Gusto. Nestled next to Tutto Italia Ristorante in Epcot's Italy Pavilion, Tudo Gusto is a cozy 96-seat wine bar located in the former Tutto Italia lobby space. Tudo Gusto is themed like an Italian wine cellar, complete with stone walls and a cozy fireplace that'll make coming here during Disney's unusually cool days very appealing. But honestly, coming here on hot days is fine too, because the cellar part of it makes it feel cool in there. Now, this spot boasts over 200 bottles of Italian wine, along with small plates perfect for pairing, like sliced meats, Italian cheeses, panini sandwiches. In general, this little cellar is a nice place for a more private, intimate dining experience, though it may feel too crowded at times if all those 96 seats are filled up during your next visit. Good deal though here, this is a lounge, so there's no reservations needed. You actually can't make reservations for Tudo Gusto, so it's a great place to think about maybe on those busier days when you didn't make reservations. And although the atmosphere is unique, the food's not too different from the fancy Italian restaurant you've got back home, but if that's what you're on the hunt for, that's what you're gonna get. Pros here: a lovely elevated dining experience, great for wine connoisseurs, and it's very intimate and cozy. I actually remember when they first created this place, and I was so excited, and every time I've gone, it has been a lovely experience. So I'm a fan. It is a little expensive though, as is everything in the Italian Pavilion. Cons: can feel a little cramped when it's too busy. Still not the most adventurous Italian-inspired menu out there, but it is very authentic and pretty rustic, and it's still pretty pricey for just a bunch of apps and small plates, like I said. Ranking 7.5 out of 10. Heading over to Sunshine Seasons, this is one of those quick service restaurants that I love simply because it can kill an argument quick, much like Connections Cafe and Eatery. Sunshine Seasons is located on the first floor of the Land Pavilion next to the ride Soarin' and Living with the Land. So here's why we like this place. If some folks in your group are craving pizza, others want more Asian-inspired food, and Grandpa Joe wants tacos, you can hit up this food court and get something for everyone. And don't skip out on the bakery case here. You got lots of tasty desserts to choose from. You've got that peanut butter whoopie pie, some seasonal specialties. They just brought in some new cookies to try. They do have the turtle brownie, but as of me recording right now, they've kind of changed it, so it's not my favorite version of the turtle brownie anymore. It's kind of subpar at the moment, so I'm not going to super recommend it, but that's not what this video is about. Sorry. I won't keep blah-blahing at you about the turtle brownie. But here's my big word of warning for you regarding Sunshine Seasons. Lunch is the only time you're going to be able to choose from a full menu of entrees here. Once 4 p.m. hits, the menu drastically decreases to just feature a couple of sandwich and salad options. So this may not be the best place to go for dinner if you want that full Sunshine Seasons variety that I promised you. However, after 4 p.m., you can still pick up dozens of different snack and bakery items, which could be a nice little evening pick-me-up for your fam. Pros for Sunshine Seasons: lots of good lunch options, lots of affordable lunch options, and tons of seating. Cons for this one: the main menu disappears after 4. While there's tons of lunch options, it's not going to be the highest quality dining of the park, but it's pretty good. That's why it's so high on our list. It is pretty good. One of my favorite places to get a counter service meal in Epcot. And again, the World Showcase is just steps away, so if you're looking for something truly unique, you can head on over there. Ranking 7.5 out of 10. This is actually a pretty impressive rank for a counter service window that only specializes in one entree and one entree only. Yorkshire County Fish Shop sells fish and chips. That's it. That's the post. Thank you and good night. While other restaurants have entrees that are hit or miss, or prices that are out of the wazoo expensive, or hard to obtain reservations, we can always count on Yorkshire County to give us a quick, affordable, and satisfying, very filling last-minute meal. Alas, we can't in good conscience rank this place any higher than it already is because, well, it only sells fish and chips. And if you're not a fan of seafood, or if you want something more unique while exploring the World Showcase, you'll be better off skipping this fishy little window and going elsewhere. Pros here: very tasty fish and chips, very affordable, and quick and easy. There's also a really nice little seating area out there if you're dining there for lunch. Sometimes the seating area gets taken over for a private fireworks event. I remember I had a private fireworks event there a few years ago. Maybe some of you were there. But normally, there's a really beautiful little group of outdoor seating to dine at if you get your fish and chippies. Cons: only one entree, one very fishy potatoey entree, and it's not great for those looking for a larger variety of options, obviously. Nearby tables can fill up quickly, meaning you have to eat on the go sometimes, but this isn't that hard to carry and eat. Ranking 7.5 out of 10. Now, the Epcot restaurants are about to get even better from here, but doesn't that mean it's going to start getting harder and harder to choose which restaurants you want to prioritize? And that's where our shameless plug for our DFB Guide Books come in. Our Everything Guidebook bundles over on the dfbstore.com website have multiple guides full of details. We work so hard on these. You know that I have spent many, many sleepless nights making sure these are perfect for you. And so have several members of my team: Kim, Wendy, Lisa, Nikki, Tracy checks all of the links in all of these books every single time to make sure they're going to the right places. So a really, really incredible team, really focused on making sure you've got the best book possible for your Disney World trip. And you can even download these to your smartphone or to your device, any device you want, so you can get Disney dining advice on the go. Just be sure to type in code YouTube if you're going to buy one of these to save money on your total purchase, because we have a special discount just for our YouTube subscribers. Okay, moving on to number 17. We are way past the middle now, my friends. So these are going to all pretty much be good bang for your buck when it comes to our recommendation. Acru's Royal Banquet Hall is next. This is Princess Central. All royal folk and non-royal folk are welcome to attend the Acru's Royal Banquet Hall in Epcot's Norway Pavilion for an all-you-can-eat Norwegian food and Disney princess meet and greet. You're not meeting the food, you're eating the food, you're meeting the princesses. Okay, Acru's is a family-style dining experience. Notice that I'm saying the name of the restaurant really, really fast because I'm always not really sure how I'm supposed to say it. Like, I've heard it pronounced many times, but it's like Akershus. It's not Akershus from what y'all have told me. It's Akershus, like Acker's house kind of thing. Okay, if I'm wrong, let me know. I'm very, very happy to hear all of your constructive criticism on my pronunciation of everything. That is very cool, and I'm grateful for it. Anyway, the unlimited food here is going to be brought to your table to share among the group because it's family-style dining. And when you're ready for a refill, you can just ask your server for more. It's easy as that. While the food is pretty good, Akershus's biggest selling point is, of course, those princesses. Character appearances can vary, but it's always going to be princesses, and you can typically look forward to meeting Snow White, Jasmine, Belle, Tiana, Princess Aurora, Ariel. We've met Cinderella there a couple of times, which makes Cinderella's royal table kind of a moot point for a lot of you. Anyway, you never know if Cinderella's going to be there, so I can't guarantee it, but you are in a royal castle-like setting. So when you go inside here, it doesn't look like much from outside, but inside it really does feel castle-y. So this can be a great alternative to Cinderella's royal table, which we call Cindy's a lot over there in Magic Kingdom, if you're unable to get a reservation there or if you just want to spend less to see the princesses, because it's a cheaper princess character dining option, though it's by no means cheap. Lunch and dinner here are going to put you back $67 per adult, $43 per kid. For a slightly cheaper option, consider booking a table at Akershus during breakfast instead. Again, you're not going to have the more adventurous Norwegian dining options like you would during lunch or dinner, but if your main goal for dining here is meeting the princesses anyways, then you might as well save money where you can. Breakfast prices drop down to $55 per adult, $35 per kid. So for a family of 4, you're saving $40 right there. It's still pretty pricey, but if you want to prioritize meeting all the princesses in one place, you're going to have to save for it one way or another. Now, the pros here, princesses everywhere. Don't deny it, dining inside a castle is just plain cool, and adventurous Norwegian options during lunch and dinner. And by adventurous, I mean smoked fish is about as adventurous as it's going to get here, so we're not talking about really wild stuff, but still more adventurous for a theme park. Cons, breakfast isn't the most exciting food-wise, but at least it's cheaper. Still a very pricey restaurant, no matter how you slice and dice it. And while the food is decent, you may find your options more limited if you are a pickier eater. Ranking here, 8 out of 10. Back in the France Pavilion, y'all. I feel like despite Chefs de France being up at the front of the France Pavilion, it sure does get forgotten about a lot. So we're going to fix that. Chefs de France is an authentic French bistro that serves several French specialties from escargot to French onion soup to gratin de macaroni, that's macaroni and cheese, to ratatouille, which I hear is the favorite cuisine of a certain little chef that you might find skittering around the pavilion after your meal. The main thing I want you to hear about this restaurant is that it is truly authentic looking. When you see this restaurant from outside at night, you feel like you're in Paris. It looks like Paris in there. It feels like Paris in there. The lighting is perfect. The decor is perfect. It is just seriously intimidating sometimes to some of us who don't feel like we're as glamorous as we need to be to maybe dine in Paris. But if you're someone who's not as self-conscious as I am, then what I will say is that it does feel bright and welcoming. And if you're seated at one of the window side tables, you've got great people watching and a good vantage point, maybe even for the fireworks. Now, this may not be the best place for younger kids who may find the atmosphere kind of boring and the food a little too unique for their strict chicken tender only palate, because even the macaroni and cheese is a little bit fancy. But it's a great fit for those who love eating French cuisine and feeling fancy without getting too fancy. Still in a theme park, y'all. Pros, if you want to pretend like you're eating at a Parisian cafe, here you go. This'll do it. It's a great way to sit for a spell and rest your feet in the AC, and it's a lovely date night option that's not too pricey, has both a la carte and prix-fixe options here. Cons for this one, if you're in a hurry to get back to the park, then you're going to want to eat at one of the France Pavilion's quicker dining options instead. Head over to Regal, we'll talk about it later. And only French cuisine is served here, not a great variety for pickier eaters. Younger kids might keep asking you where Remy is. He's not in this particular restaurant, so yeah, you're going to have to go get in line for that ride later. Ranking 8 out of 10. Guten Tag, we have made it to Germany. Top 10, we are in the top 10. Okay, Garten restaurant over in the Germany Pavilion is the place to book if you're planning on traveling with a large group because it's long tables and it can accommodate a lot of you at once. Word of warning though, if you've got a smaller group traveling with you, you may wind up having to share a table with another smaller group of guests. So if you're looking for a more intimate dining setting, this isn't it. Introverts beware. So the German buffet celebrates Oktoberfest every day of the year, kind of like that one Bill Murray movie, just with more beer and fewer groundhogs. On the buffet line, expect tons of well-known German dishes, bratwurst, schnitzel, noodle gratin. But what is this I hear? I believe it is live polka music. So during the day, musical performances happen on the restaurant's main stage. So if you feel like getting up and dancing for a little bit, don't fight it. Just get to grooving. I actually love this. One of my favorite things that happens in an Epcot restaurant is this little show at Beer Garten. These guys are so good. They are such good musicians. They are great showmen. It is a blast. One of those little hidden gems in Epcot that nobody really talks about very much, but you will appreciate it, I'm sure. But back to the food. Much like any buffet you're going to pay for in Disney World, you're going to be paying a steep price for a lot of food. Granted, you'll get your money's worth here if you're really, really hungry and if you love a good bratwurst, but if you've already been snacking around the World Showcase all day, then you might feel like you're paying more than you should for the quantity of food that winds up on your plate. Pros here, best for large travel parties. It's fun and upbeat, and it's got live music, and your kids can go down and dance, and that's a blast. There's all-you-can-eat food, so wear the stretchy lederhosen. Oh, and also, you can get liters of beer here, by the way. Giant glasses of beer. So definitely bring your beer connoisseurs to this one. Cons for Beer Garten. The food can be too heavy and too hearty for some. It's really, really difficult to eat really heavy food like this and then have to head out and ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, right? And especially if you are there on a very hot Orlando day, that can be a little bit overwhelming. Now, potential of being seated with other families if you have a smaller party. This isn't the biggest con for a lot of you, but if you are an introvert or if someone in your group is, this could be a giant con for you. And super limited vegan options here as well. Ranking 8 out of 10. Back in the UK for Rose and Crown Dining Room, this is the restaurant version of a hug. You've got cozy pub vibes, lots of different drink options like imperial pints that'll make you feel warm on the inside, and hearty comfort food. You got shepherd's pie, scotch eggs, my favorite, bangers and mash, and of course sticky toffee pudding is on the menu every single day. By the by, you can get fish and chips here, but it's going to be cheaper at the Yorkshire County Fish Shop window. Probably not the same portion, maybe not the same exact type of fish, but if you're not a fish and chips kind of connoisseur, you're probably not going to be able to tell a huge difference, so it's going to be a lot cheaper outside. Now, cue a bunch of you Brits letting me know that, of course, you can tell the difference, AJ, you're a lunatic, which is very, very possible. Bring it, pull it into the comments, let me know which one is best, Yorkshire County or Rose and Crown Fish and Chips. So this is the second Epcot restaurant that offers the Luminous Fireworks Dining Package, where you're going to receive a prefix meal and be able to enjoy a crystal clear view of the show out on the restaurant's waterfront patio. Well, I don't have many qualms when it comes to Rose and Crown. Those heavy meat dishes can be real heavy on a hot summer evening as well. The menu here has shrunk drastically recently. There aren't a lot of options on this menu the way there used to be. So if the last time you were at Rose and Crown was like 5 or 10 years ago, you'll be really surprised by how few options there are on the menu. They kind of narrowed it down to just their best sellers. So that's good, I guess. Your bestseller favorites are still on there, but if you really liked the more obscure dishes or unique dishes, those will probably not be on there anymore. So pros for this one, our personal favorite fireworks dining package. Cozy atmosphere and eats, especially if you are an Anglophile like I am and wish that you lived in the UK and would love to just kind of take up residence in the UK pavilion permanently. This is going to be the restaurant for you. And best enjoyed on one of Florida's cooler evenings, which yes, do happen. And it's a lovely, lovely dinner if you're sitting out there on the waterfront patio, enjoying your meal, and it's perfect. Okay. Cons. If you want fish and chips, maybe Yorkshire instead. But again, you guys are going to talk to me about that in the comments. There's pretty limited seating, not a whole lot of availability here, I guess. So you definitely want to book this one ahead of time. And the menu is pretty limited. So if you're not a fan of very, very popular options for British pub fare, you may want to skip this one. Ranking 8.5 out of 10. We're heading right next door to the France Pavilion to Monsieur Paul. Now, Disney World has its signature restaurants, and then it has its ultra signature restaurants for all you food connoisseurs out there. And wouldn't you know, Epcot is home to not just one, but two fine dining signature restaurants. The first I'm going to talk about is Monsieur Paul over in the France Pavilion. A lot of you don't know where this is because it's not something you just walk by. It's on the second floor of Chefs de France. So you're not actually going to see Monsieur Paul, not even the entrance of it, unless you go around the corner on your way to L'Artisan de Glace and Les Halles. That's kind of where Monsieur Paul's entrance is, kind of tucked back in that corner. Used to be right out front, but now that's where it is. Now, Monsieur Paul has a prix fixe menu that gives you a nice variety of fine French cuisine, including options like escargot, roasted duck, and lobster thermidor. If you book your reservation and then change your mind about it later on, though, make sure to cancel your table 72 hours before you're expected to arrive. For most Disney World restaurants, you've got a 2-hour cancellation policy, meaning you can cancel your table up to 2 hours before your reservation time without having to worry about the no-show fee. But if you fail to cancel your Monsieur Paul reservation 3 days before you're expected to dine there, you'll have to pay a steep no-show fee of $100 per person. Yikes. But if you're looking for a sophisticated meal inside Epcot, don't let that cancellation policy scare you. The dining room is charming, the food is adventurous, and the service is unparalleled. Pros here: high quality French cuisine, a quiet romantic atmosphere. You might be able to see the fireworks if you get a window table, and it's great for couples looking to celebrate something big. Cons: the dress code may not mesh with what you were planning to wear to the park originally. Guests who are under 10 years old are not allowed, so no kids in this restaurant. And other con: make sure you've read the fine print of that cancellation policy. Ranking 8.5 out of 10. And we're going to follow that up with Japan's second ultra signature restaurant, Takumite, over in the Japan Pavilion. Now, I'm not going to lie. Now, this is without a doubt the best food you're going to eat at Epcot if you are into Japanese food. There are two prix-fixe style menus you can choose from. One's strictly plant-based and the other one is for all the omnivores out there like me. And between the fresh sushi, the lobster tempura, the seasonal sashimi, the Japanese A5 Wagyu steak, the vegetable tempura, and whatever else those world-class chefs decide to whip up and serve during your meal, the food here is memorable, it's phenomenal, and you'll wish you could reverse time just so you can stay here for longer, even though you've already been there for 4 hours. Okay, so if that's how I feel about Takumite, then why don't I have it in my top 5? One word: price. There's a reason the food tastes as good as it does here. This will be the most expensive meal you can get in Epcot. While the plant-based prix-fixe option will cost $150 per person, the omnivore menu costs $250. And on top of that price tag, the overall experience is very, very long. Like, we're talking you're gonna have to dedicate possibly 3 to 4 hours out of your Epcot day to dine here. That being said, if you want to splurge on a meal and you feel like Epcot's food really should be a major part of your whole theme park experience, then Takumite will not let you down. But keep in mind that this restaurant's only open Thursday to Monday for dinner, and guests under the age of 8 will not be allowed to dine here, so no little kids, no babies. Pros: best option for those looking for a once-in-a-lifetime signature dining experience while they're in Epcot. It's a zen-like atmosphere, very, very good service, just a really memorable experience, and it's great food. Cons: rest in peace, your piggy bank. Takes a lot of time out of your park evening to experience, and only guests 8 years and older can dine here. Ranking 9 out of 10. Whew, okay, now we're heading upstairs in the Japan Pavilion. Shiki Sai Sushi Izakaya just barely missed ranking amongst our top 5. But give us another stellar meal here and it might just dethrone one of our other options in the near future. Can you believe this? This is a brand new restaurant. It's not brand new. It was Tokyo Dining before, and Tokyo Dining never would have landed this close to our top 5. So this is a brand new, very, very big change to our ranking every Epcot restaurant for you. And I don't know where this one's going to land next year, but right now the newness factor is really helping it out. So Shiki Sai opened its doors in August 2023 over at the Japan Pavilion, and to say it's an improvement from Tokyo Dining is an understatement. We love Shiki Sai and their commitment to theme and quality food and stunning views. And I'm not just talking about the stunning views from the restaurant's main windows. Those look out across the World Showcase Lagoon and you might be able to see the fireworks from there. But also there are tables that feature beautiful digital windows that move and change according to the time of year, making for a great alternative for guests who aren't able to get those legit fireworks views during their meal. Not every table has these digital windows, so if you want a better chance at getting one, make sure you ask your host when you're checking into your reservation. It's not a guarantee that you'll get one, but it always helps your case when you ask. Another way that this restaurant really went out on a limb to surprise us was with its varied menu. There's something for everyone to love here, whether you're plant-based, a meat eater, or a sushi fiend. And just like those digital windows throughout the year, the menu will get new additions to reflect the changing seasons and the changing Japanese festivals. So it's not just a varied menu, it's a deliberately changing menu. So pros on this one, the potential of a new dining experience each time you visit, incredibly unique entrees and decor, and it's educational. Cultural representatives will walk you through the meaning and history behind each seasonal festival that is represented by the menu. Cons, not the best for little kids, especially pickier eaters, since the menu for them is quite small. Reservations are booking up fast right now, and the $300 sushi boat is more about novelty than anything else. You probably don't need it. Ranking is 9 out of 10. We have made it to the final countdown. What better way to kick off this top 5 list than paying a visit to Sam the Eagle's quick service establishment, Regal Eagle Smokehouse, which is dedicated to all cuisine, but mostly barbecue, over at the American Adventure Pavilion. This place takes its barbecue very, very seriously. They've got a real smoker outside, an outdoor bar, plenty of indoor and outdoor seating for you to use, and lots of fun little Easter eggs dedicated to that patriotic Muppet we know and love, Sam the Eagle himself. Regal Eagle also has several different kinds of sauces, including but not limited to North Carolina vinegar or classic Texas brisket sauce, which is amazing. It's got this nice little spice to it. It reminds me of the barbecue sauce my dad used to make, which was absolutely incredible, which is actually kind of Asian inspired. So anyway, I was impressed. And don't be fooled by the quick service prices. The portions you're going to get here are more than hearty enough to keep you filled and satisfied until the next meal. Although I personally love Regal Eagle, I must say that if you live someplace that specializes in barbecue, you may have a hard time feeling like you need to prioritize this one, and that makes sense. Although I will say I live in Dallas, Texas. We have great barbecue, and I still love Regal Eagle. But Regal Eagle might not compete with your favorite down-home local smokehouse that knows your name and order by heart. But Regal Eagle is still a solid option for those looking for a quick meal, and an affordable meal, a filling meal, and a flavorful meal at that. Pros here, high-quality barbecue, affordable and filling, Sam the Eagle themed. Of course, Muppets is a pro for everything. He could have served me a sock on a platter, and I'd see no fault in his actions. Cons, may not be the unique Epcot cuisine you're looking for. Definitely not a fancy date night environment unless you're into that. And also not great for vegetarians, though there are veggie-inspired selections here, of course. Now, this gets a 9 out of 10, but I have to give it just a little tiny extra bump because talk about overcoming your history. This used to be Liberty Inn, which was literally the worst counter service restaurant in Epcot for years, y'all. And somehow Regal Eagle came in and just turned it completely around. I am more than happy to go to this restaurant, even over a lot of table service restaurants, any day of the week. And that just gives me hope for so many of the other restaurants in Disney World that are floundering, that, you know, if you've got the right chef that comes in, you've got the right menu coming in, you've got the right vibe and the right theme, you can change anything from bad to great. Right? Right. Okay, there's your motivational speech for today. Moving on, we're going to number 25, ALL Boulangerie Patisserie. Yet again, we're back inside the France Pavilion. Now, I am not 1,000% sure that ALL is better than Regal Eagle. It may not be, but when you take everything into consideration, this is where it lands. So these numbers may flip-flop around a little bit for a lot of you, but here's where we are. What's really awesome about ALL, which is a, of course, bakery and fast food location that's kind of set up like a cafeteria, although if you've been in there, you know that you don't want to use the cafeteria word for it, but that's, you get a tray and you go along a rail and you ask for certain things. That's kind of how it works. Anyway, this has a lot of items on the menu that are pretty affordable. You can snag yourself a whole baguette for under $5 if you'd like. And this is a big baguette. This is one of those little tiny ones. Or you can order a creme brulee for $5.75. Even the sandwich prices aren't terrible and usually range from $9 to $11 each. And we're talking really, really good sandwiches. Think about it. Even microwavable meals from the grocery store are like $5 to $8. So the fact that I can get a fresh lobster bisque in a freshly baked bread bowl at ALL for around $7, or a quiche Lorraine for $8 is a great find on Disney property. This is also one of those best spots to grab a breakfast pastry on the go, especially if you're entering the park through the International Gateway between the France and UK pavilions instead of up at the front near Spaceship Earth. But be careful, seating here is limited and cramped. But if you're really ordering something to eat on the go, then the limited seating shouldn't scare you away. Not when it comes to picking up quality and affordable eats. Pros here, a solid breakfast choice to kick off your day. Oh, and you can get mimosas too. It's affordable, and it's delicious and different and downright yummy. Now, here's another quick pro for it. World Showcase tends to open at 11, but the France Pavilion does open at 9. So this is going to be open for you to grab your breakfast right at the beginning of the day before you head over to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and get in line, or you start making your way over to Test Track and the rest of those rides over in World Discovery, World Celebration, World Nature. Now, the cons for this one, the seating can get crowded and cramped, and the lines can get long here too. There's also no mobile ordering available. So ranking 9 out of 10. Next on our list is Via Napoli Ristorante Pizzeria. This is over in the Italy Pavilion again. We haven't been there for a little while. And this is where you're going to get the best pizza in Disney World. So Via Napoli is a table service restaurant. It's most well known for that authentic wood-fired pizza, but they have other stuff as well. There are a variety of flavors and toppings to choose from for your pizzas. And if you're dining with a large party of up to 6 guests, you can order a half-meter mezzo metro pizza for around $50 to $54 to split amongst everyone. Via Napoli also has a few pasta dishes ranging from $27 to $30, but the pizza is definitely where you're going to get the best bang for your buck. This is a pizzeria after all. And as far as the atmosphere is concerned, you really do feel like you've been transported overseas when you step foot in the Via Napoli dining room. You've got soaring ceilings, rustic frescoes, massive wood ovens. That means you'll be eating authentic Italian flavors in a matching, authentic-looking environment. Pros, no mediocre pizza here. It's easy to share with a big group and pretty classy vibes, but not so classy that it feels stuffy. And the cons, if you're not huge on pizza, there are a few other options to choose here, but they're not nearly as impressive. And despite it being easy to share, it's still pretty pricey. Appetizers and desserts are also nothing to write home about. Stick with the pizza and you'll be golden. Ranking 9.5 out of 10. Now, during this whole video, I've been talking about adventurous eats and unique entrees, but I want you to forget all that for a second because the familiar favorites you're going to find at Garten Grill are going to trump your desire to find something even more exciting down the road. You know I love this restaurant. I'm very sorry. Some of you probably don't think this should be here in this top 5, but it is one of my favorites. Garten Grill is located on the second floor of the Land Pavilion in Epcot's World Nature area. It's right kind of above Sunshine Seasons, kind of above and opposite. It's actually right above the Living with the Land ride. And there are a few key reasons why families love dining here over and over and over again. First of all, the restaurant rotates. I know. I don't know why this is such a big deal either, but it is a very big deal. While you're dining, the restaurant will slowly rotate directly over scenes from Living with the Land that's taking place down below. And that's, I don't know, it's so fun. Secondly, the options are pretty straightforward, but in the best possible way. We're talking fresh, delicious food. The tables are served family-style Chippendale harvest feasts with items like harvest-inspired garden salad, creamy mashed potatoes, barbecue roasted chicken, berry shortcake, and other comfort foods for lunch and dinner. Now, during breakfast, you're going to get a morning harvest feast featuring an assortment of pastries, Mickey waffles, backyard grilled steak, scrambled eggs, bacon skillet potatoes, fresh fruit, and that amazing cinnamon bread. Finally, the creme de la creme of Garten Grill, you're going to be able to meet Farmer Mickey, Pluto, Chip, and Dale during this restaurant's character dining experience. And what I love about this particular character dining experience is that the restaurant's relatively small, so those characters are going to come around several times. You're going to get to see them multiple times, so you get the biggest bang for your character dining buck. Pros, a unique option for families. It's a rotating atmosphere with fun character interactions, and it's a good option for picky eaters too, but still tasty enough to impress more adventurous palates. Cons, it's not unique, but I wouldn't let that deter you unless you're really set on eating around the festival pavilions and World Showcase. Breakfast is also not super unique, but it's a cheaper alternative to lunch and dinner here. And if you're not a fan of character dining, the characters are going to see you a lot during your meal, so maybe pick someplace else. Ranking for this one is a 10 out of 10. And we've made it to the top restaurant in Epcot for us here at DFB. And until another place finally comes and attempts to dethrone it, it will continue to be Le Cellier Steakhouse in the Canada Pavilion. Is it the most expensive restaurant in Epcot? No. Is it the biggest or most unique restaurant in Epcot? No, but Le Cellier is a signature restaurant that is cozy, it has incredible food, it is family friendly, and I think it's good value for the money. But even if you're not big on steak, because this is a steakhouse, you've got other stellar options to choose from here, like the signature poutine, Canadian cheddar cheese soup, an artisan cheese and charcuterie plate, really good desserts. So Le Cellier takes you away from the busyness of the park to provide you with a quiet, intimate restaurant experience with dim lighting and cozy cellar vibes. Although there is a kids menu featured here, this isn't necessarily a kid-centric atmosphere. It doesn't have fun, colorful characters or Mickey Mouse and overalls. So although we love this place for a romantic night out or just a fancy evening with friends, if you're traveling with little ones, then taking a chunk of time out of your Epcot day to eat here might be a little more draining than it is relaxing. But that being said, Le Cellier is iconic and a longtime favorite for the entire DFB team. Whether you're looking for steak or seafood or something plant-based, you've got some good options here to choose from. And this restaurant is pricey, so it might not be the best option for you if you're on a tight budget, but if you're looking for a nice meal and don't mind spending a little more for it, Le Cellier always has our vote. Plus, you're being served by a bunch of Canadians and everyone is absolutely the most pleasant and wonderful in the world. So pros for this one, great for date night, great for celebrating, or just great if you want a good steak. There's consistently good service and top-tier steaks, entrees, appetizers, and desserts. Cons, not the best for families with little kids. There's also not a lot of seating here, so it might be a little bit harder to get a reservation. It's pricey, so be prepared to splurge, and the dining room can feel a little cramped at times because they've got a lot of that banquette seating where you're sitting right next to Jim and Nancy from South Dakota again. Ranking 10 out of 10. So what do you think? Does Le Cellier deserve the top spot? Or is there a different Epcot restaurant that keeps the gold medal in your heart? Let me know what your favorite place to eat in Epcot is, and be sure to add even more eats to your must-try options by downloading our free snack guide over at disneyfoodblog.com/bestsnacks. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.